Ooh, it's me. Welcome to Cold Hard Trash CRT episode number 14. I'm your host, Trashcan Jones.
I'm host Breeeeg.
It kind of works out. I like it.
And I'm Breeeeg. Just rolls off the tongue better for me.
It does, but it makes me feel like that you're not the host, because it's just like I'm host and then you're just Breeeeg. It seems like. I don't know. If you're fine with it, then I'm fine with it. But I just
maybe I put a pause afterwards, and it's like, and I'm Breeeeg, the other host.
All right, there you. I like that. At least it denotes it.
It keeps the cadence in the beginning, which
right?
Is what I care about the most.
And I care about the most is you getting credit. I don't want people thinking that you're just like here along for the ride and perhaps replaceable.
Thank you.
You are a vital part of this operation.
I appreciate it. I will demand acknowledgement as a host. I'll command it.
Hell yeah. So we said we would do some Lunchables research that we forgot to do. So we said we'd do it at like the next episode from our first recording session last time. So I think we're like 3 episodes late on it at this point. Anyway.
And I didn't even do any research. You Googled it like 10 minutes ago.
Well, I did the research, and Lunchables was invented in 1985 by a team of people: Bob Drain, Christine James, Jeff James, Dave Waslowski, and Deborah Glarusso. They focus grouped American mothers and found out that their biggest resource that they had to save on was time. And they were like, all right, we could just make pre-made little lunch packs the same way they have TV dinners to save time. We can make kids' lunches to save time. Just boom, bang. Little cracker packs, little pizza packs. Some of the hot dog packs, I think, were in the original ones, too.
Hot dogs. Well, I mean, it's like Vienna sausages, little wieners.
Yeah, just like little cut-up hot dogs. I think, I don't know if they served them with ketchup and mustard or whatever. Probably. I don't know. I could probably look it up, but I'm not going to. Because that is enough Lunchables knowledge. I feel like I researched that topic thoroughly and definitively.
Not inspired by the MRE.
No, not at all inspired by the MRE.
Maybe if you take it like 2 or 3 levels like derivative of it. First you got the TV dinner, and then you got...
Is the TV dinner derivative of the MRE?
I mean, I'd put more money on that than I'd put on the Lunchable being derivative of the MRE.
All right, well, we'll do some MRE research into TV dinners for the next episode to see what TV dinners have what. We will do TV dinner research for the next episode.
Nice.
we're upgrading. Went from Lunchables to TV dinners. We're growing up.
Yeah. Then, like 2 more episodes later, we'll have a little blurb about it at the beginning. This is the through line that we needed for our episode.
We'll remember. I'll put a note of it down. If I remember to even read the note, though, is the big thing. But I'll put a note of it down. TV dinner research. There. See.
I want to do anti-research.
You want to forget things about TV dinners?
Find lies about them.
Thought you were just gonna actively try to forget things about TV dinners.
I'm gonna put together a conspiracy theory. I don't know what it's gonna be yet. It's gonna be pretty hard.
You're going to. I suppose you haven't done it yet. Makes sense.
I don't have an angle. I don't have anything.
As soon as I find one, TV dinner's going down.
Yeah.
Big TV dinner. Watch out.
So when I moved into my new place, I think it's good to have on hand some frozen food. Now you can make your own frozen food with how you're gonna reheat it, or you can buy like a pizza and stuff like that. And I do have frozen pizzas. Yeah. But I bought some frozen curries, and the only instructions on there are for microwaves, which I don't have a microwave.
You can't do it stovetop?
Nope. I mean, it doesn't have instructions for it. I could probably figure out a way to heat this up just fine.
In a saucepan, yeah. Who cares?
It's not on the thing, so I haven't used them.
That's annoying. Why would they not, why are they expecting you to use a microwave? That seems like the lowest, shittiest form of cooking.
Microwaves are interesting.
You probably shouldn't eat anything that microwaves plastic. Probably not too good for you.
No, they got, safe plastic. I mean, so the way that microwaves work is that it puts out a wave at the resonant frequency of water. So it vibrates the water.
I see.
And that vibration is heat.
I see. Doesn't just shoot radioactive poison rays at your food to make it hot.
Correct.
Well,
But still heating up the plastic could be an issue, but, I mean, they'd probably just make the plastic safe for that. Like Breaking Bad, how they have that one plastic that is safe for dissolving bodies in that they didn't buy.
yeah, no, I think Mythbusters did a thing. You can't even really dissolve a body fully with the stuff they used.
Well, I mean, at the end it was goop.
Yeah, but even then, like, it wouldn't get, like, bones dissolved all the way to goop.
That's why you need the pigs. The pig farm.
Mm-hmm. Pigs lead it all up. Num num num.
Something unrealistic in a TV show. Insane.
How dare they?
I've been watching a lot of Better Call Saul.
Oh yeah, that's the Breaking Bad, like, what is it, like, brother show, right?
Prequel series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was in the same universe.
Yeah, it's good. It sets up a lot of stuff. But how do you define a prequel?
I suppose it happened before the main, what you would call it, the main events of the main series, like the source material.
Yes. There's one important distinction that I want to hit on.
Okay.
The prequel needs to be released after the original. So, like, Toy Story 1 isn't a prequel to Toy Story 2.
No, yeah, that makes sense, yeah.
So
I get what you're saying. Yeah, because then that would make it, that's the pre-part of it. Otherwise, it's just the next part of it. Yeah, it's just the next part of the series or a part of a different series.
Yeah. But I always thought that was interesting and how, like, it needs to come out afterwards. Like,
yeah,
you can't reframe these things in a way, like, outside of chronology. Like, those words are based in chronology.
Right, like if they had released the middle trilogy of the Star Wars first, then it would have just been chronological order. They wouldn't have been prequels. They wouldn't have been just the regular movies.
Yeah.
It would have just been a regular order of movies, and it would have been cool. But yeah, then it's called the prequel trilogy because it's when Anakin's a kid, and before Darth Vader and all that. Mm-hmm. The big Vader things that were in Star Wars 1 and 2 and 3.
I also think prequels sort of have like it's definitely a more interesting relationship to the source material than a sequel does. You know, because a sequel is like, okay, where do they go from here? Like, you know, all this stuff that we established, you know, you can go anywhere from that. You probably don't want to go anywhere because, you know, it just won't make sense. But, like, there's nothing set in stone that you need to follow.
Right.
After this, except for, you know, staying true to the characters and stuff like that. But with a prequel, you need to worry about being too inconsistent with, you know, what you're doing because you don't want to, like, people have, like, a lot of understanding of where things are going to end up. Like, you know, certain characters can't die.
Right.
And, like, does that make it so that they aren't in danger?
That's where I think the Fallout show actually does a really good job because I think it's not exactly a prequel. I think it is technically a sequel to the games, but it does the same. It's kind of the same styles and techniques that you would use for a prequel of just they have their own story that's kind of separate from a lot of the source material, but still uses that source material, like a lot of the visuals, a lot of the sounds, a lot of everything from it, so you know it is that source material, but the actual material of the game is just left untouched and over there. So it's just like, okay, so you have this old other, and it's able to connect to it very seamlessly. So that works out well. I feel like you can do the same with prequels to where you just build enough of a story and everything. Like, I think The Witcher technically is a prequel to all the games, right? Same deal. If it's just far enough back, then it's like, oh, well, you don't really have to put a whole lot of detail. You can put detail into the world that you're building there. You don't have to worry about the games. Let them stand alone over there. You don't have to connect them in every single way.
Yeah, but certain things are still going to be safe. Certain rules will still need to be followed.
Right, yeah. That's what I'm talking about. You have to activate, or not activate, you have to use enough of the source material, like, to make the story believable so that it can fit in. Like, in Fallout, they have to be wearing the vault suits, or else they're not coming from a vault. You know, they have to be firing the 10mm pistol, or else they're not using the guns that were in the Fallout universe. They're not there in that universe. Doesn't really work the same way. But if you use enough of that material and you can just build your own story just fine, and if you make it well enough and leave well enough alone with the source material, you're good.
I actually do like the Star Wars prequels a lot.
I'm not a big Star Wars fan in general. I think all the movies just kind of hit a 4 out of 10 for me.
I liked the first original episode 4. I don't remember a lot of the other two in that original trilogy. Prequel series I thought was really cool. I liked young Anakin. Like, I mean, even though he was like a kid, you know, it's like, oh, like he actually is a child prodigy, and then like, you know, he becomes an adult and he has that line about hating sand, which always gets me. And like, the only real thing that I don't like about the prequels is Jar Jar, and like, I don't think the man should have been harassed. But I really get why people don't like the character.
Did you see, you know, Empleman is on YouTube?
Mm-mm.
There, he's does a lot of good video essays, but he actually had one about Jar Jar Binks, just talking about the whole, like, how it ruined the Star Wars franchise, or how that was actually, like, the start of the downfall, whereas people today are like, oh, Disney killed Star Wars. He talks about how, like, Jar Jar was actually, like, the sign of times to come sort of deal. It's a good deep dive. You should check it out. I'll have to send it to you.
There's just a whole scene of him, like, an animal farting in his face and him going and I'm like,
there was a really popular like Jar Jar cut of the movie that went around, or it was like 22% less Jar Jar, and it was like the one that people like saw as the definitive edition, so much so that I think like George Lucas recognized it. Like, it's literally like people cut it out like, we hate Jar Jar. That's, the fans were very definitive on that.
I mean, he's not like, when there's not like these pointless little cutaways and stuff like that, I think he's fine. I mean, like, as his character, you know, being in exile, coming back, and like, you know, helping his people in the war against, I forget who the name of the group is, but...
Have you heard of the Darth Jar Jar theory?
I have.
So that's the whole, I don't want to spoil too much of the video essay, but he goes into how that might have been like George Lucas's grand plan all along. Because there's this whole thing, like, they go of the behind-the-scenes footage of Star Wars, they show George Lucas being like, Jar Jar is the key to all of this. Like, we have to keep pushing him, like, and all these different things. And it's just like, there's a lot of different things that maybe point to this might have been what he was going for, if that was the thing. It was weird.
The only thing is,
weird.
So there's still a rule of 2, right? You know, there's only 2 Sith, or...
I don't know what that is.
Basically, there is one Sith master and one Sith apprentice at any given time, and then they also have like, there's other people involved with them, but this supposed rule of 2, where there's only 2 like actual Sith at a time.
Well, if you
either that or it's just that there's a relationship like that going on in the Sith.
You can have use of the Force powers without aligning yourself with either the Jedi or the Sith, right?
Yeah, you're just a Force user.
Yeah.
So.
That's I think that's the main theory, is that Jar Jar just is a Force user and might be a Sith Lord, but like is just playing dumb to be like, oh yeah, no, I'm just a quirky little guy, ha, don't look at me.
And that's why we need Star Wars Episode 10, where he comes back. Just kidding. I liked the first 2 of the sequel series for Star Wars. But the last one just pissed me off so much with the somehow Palpatine returned thing.
Yeah, I don't even know.
Well, they do explain that in the movie, but I just didn't want... My issue with the sequel series, my biggest issue with the sequel series, is that since they made the original trilogy, they made the Death Star. It is weapon that blows up planets.
Right.
Where do you go from there?
Weapon that blows up galaxies?
Kind of. In Episode 7, they have a weapon that blows up a solar system by shooting all the planets.
So it's like multiple Death Stars.
Kind of. Like, it doesn't feel like it's that big of a difference to me. You know, like, a Death Star can also blow up multiple planets if you just shoot the gun again.
Yeah,
you know?
Sure, you just aim it a bunch of different times.
Yeah, like, that's not... Like, of course it takes a little bit of extra time, but, like... It's still a planet-destroying weapon. I don't think there's anything really bigger than that, you know?
Yeah.
That matters, because the biggest thing that we can possibly live on is a planet.
Yeah, I mean, unless they just build, like, a bigger ship that could take the hit.
That would be insane. That, like, I would be interested in seeing that as, like, a plot point in Star Wars. But in Episode 9... It's also like, okay, we made 1,000 Star Destroyers, which is just the name of one of their ships, and it doesn't actually destroy stars, I don't think. But they're also as strong as a Death Star.
Whoa.
And there's like 1,000 of them, and it's like...
Oh no.
I think that's just my biggest issue personally, is that like you made a Death Star and nothing is ever like anything after that is just kind of like overkill. Like it's still pretty much the same level of threat as the Death Star was, and it's just different people doing the same thing again. It's just samey.
Right. They jumped the shark.
Yeah.
Essentially, with the Death Star. Yeah. I can see that. Like I said, I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan, but I can see how that is like, as from a plot point perspective, they just kind of can't top it, you know? Yeah, it makes sense.
Mm-hmm. But with a prequel series, you aren't expected to have higher stakes. You know?
That's true. Yeah. Like
you need to do a little bit maybe to explain, you know, you can choose to do a little bit to explain what's to come. You know, how things... like how the conditions were right for the original story to even happen.
Right.
But like you don't need to do anything crazier. Like in Breaking Bad, they put up a bomb in a nursing home.
Damn.
You know, that's crazy. They don't
can't top that.
They don't put a bomb in a nursing home and Better Call Saul.
2 nursing homes.
Yeah. Also, if you were to one up the sequel series, like, then it kind of makes the sequel series, or not the sequel series, the original series, like, then that would lose weight.
Right.
You know,
cheapen
put 2 bombs in 2 nursing homes. It's like, okay, well, I guess what Walt did isn't that bad.
Yeah.
Like, comparatively.
Dude, this
he could have done twice.
This reminds me so much of a lot of the complaints people have of professional wrestling nowadays, because there's a lot of moves that are getting cheapened with this same exact thing. Of like, you know, something like the super kick that used to be like you'd kick someone in the head. Like it was the craziest thing to see back in the 90s when the martial arts weren't a big thing and all that. So if someone could do it, it was like the end all be all move. Like you got hit with that, it was over. You got pinned for the 3 count no matter what. Mm-hmm. But in nowadays, especially in the lesser wrestling company, AEW, like people just get hit by it 4 or 5 times and they're still, they're still going. They kick out of the pin. So it's just like, that doesn't make you look like, oh, cool, he just got kicked in the head 5 times. It's like, it just makes that kick look shitty.
Yeah.
And it's just it's just a shitty kick, and that's not cool. I want the super kick to be super.
I wanted a villain character, and his whole shtick is that he just has a helmet on. How are you gonna kick him in the head now? That's his power.
He's
unstoppable.
That's actually, if you are of Samoan descent in wrestling kayfabe, then you have a harder head than anybody else. So if you get hit in the head, then it's just like, no.
That's my
hard noggin. Yeah. It's literally like someone will try to headbutt him and they'll get hurt and they'll just be like, ha, fool, my hard head.
Good old Samoa Joe.
Then everybody from the Rock's family, same way.
Really?
He's got like 9 different family members wrestling now, something like that.
I didn't eat Rock's whole family.
It's like his nephew and different. Yeah, I don't know. The Usos, Roman Reigns, I think Nia Jax, that girl too. I think that's her name. There's a lot of them.
I've also seen people talking about like wrestler turned actor that we kind of got like. There's at least 3 off the top of my head of Dave Bautista, The Rock, John Cena,
Hulk Hogan.
Technically an actor?
Yeah, he acted in some shitty movies back in the 80s. Yeah. Straight to VHS.
But I really liked Bautista in Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah, he's a good actor.
He's only there in the beginning of it, but...
He was in What We Do in the Shadows, the TV show. We just started watching that, my partner and I.
Oh.
And he was actually just really funny. He didn't do like any kind of big strong guy stuff. He just had like a really funny acting with him. I was like, nice. It's good to see. He didn't even be like a character actor. He was just funny Batista.
Yeah. Well, in Blade Runner, he's really serious, but he also, I think he has these like tiny little glasses. He's just like living in a shack, and he's the opening scene.
Oh, nice.
With
very memorable. Then I've never seen the movie, but I'd assume people would like latch onto that.
I think it's worth. I forget Ryan Gosling. Ryan Gosling is the lead.
Okay.
Is K, and he's like hunting down. Like he's a replicant Blade Runner.
Right.
And Blade Runners are people that hunt down replicants.
I'm sort of familiar with the original source material. It's one of those things that's just been done over and referenced so many times that I'm familiar enough with like what it is, but I've never seen the movies.
I very highly recommend both of those. And John Cena is just such a funny actor.
He's pretty good too, yeah.
I really like
good
I like
jobs.
him in Ricky Stenicki.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
It's an Amazon movie.
Oh,
It was
jeez.
I don't know, quite enjoyable. Him, Zac Efron, two other guys I don't recognize.
Probably also WWE guys, if I had to guess.
No, it's
Really?
like a bunch of skinny guys.
Oh,
Zac Efron and his like buddies.
oh, all right.
But I don't know. It's just it's fun to see people moving from one thing to another, like that. Like maybe that's going to become a much more like prominent career path for wrestlers. Is to you wrestle for a bit and then you convert that into movies and stuff like that, because it is kind of it's stage performance.
Yeah, like I said, especially when you have to get on the
being a stage
microphone,
actor.
you have to do an act. You have to actually like be able to improv a lot of the time. If you actually have that charisma to be able to like steal a crowd, it's worth something. Not many people have that.
But I also have heard like a lot of stuff about The Rock and like Black Adam, and of how apparently he's very like he's one of those actors that kind of like always wants to look cool.
Yeah,
Like can't really be like the uncool guy in like anything that he's in.
right. He's got to protect his image.
Yeah.
The image of The Rock, especially now that he legally owns it. WWE doesn't anymore.
Really? Okay, well good for him.
That's one of the things that like if you go into the WWE and like wrestle underneath them, then whatever character they create for you, like they will merchandise it and do all these different things. Like you'll get the t-shirts, the toys and everything, but you only get like whatever partial or fractional ownership of that. The main ownership still belongs to WWE. So that's why a lot of those guys will still stick around and have good terms with WWE, come back for interviews and whatnot, so they can still get the little pieces of the pie, but most of them don't really ever get to get their full revenue share from their name after they retire. Unless they're rich enough and can buy it off the WWE, like good old Rocky J was.
So does that mean that like in his earlier movie stuff, was he just going Dwayne Johnson? I remember he did some comedies with Kevin Hart.
Yeah, there's usually, I don't know if it was, I think he was going under Dwayne Johnson, because if he used The Rock at all, then it would have to had the WWE Pictures thing underneath it. Because he did like some military style movies too, like John Cena did.
I remember seeing him in G.I. Joe.
Yeah, G.I. Joe is a good one. Yeah, I think he might have used The Rock on that, and it would have been like, it would have had to have the WWE like seal of approval on it, if so.
I'm pretty sure he also died at the beginning of G.I. Joe. I'm not entirely sure, but
He might have. I remember there was a scene of him and whoever the main of it was playing Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, and he's just like crouching around in circles, being like, "How do I play this game?" Oh.
And I also remember that G.I. Joe movie was the first. Like the whole like super weapon idea of like the God Hammer or whatever.
Yeah,
Where
sure.
you get like a big ass tungsten rod or something really heavy, and you just drop it from space.
Oh, that's not an idea. That's something that we have.
Well, it was in G.I. Joe.
Yeah, it's in G.I. Joe. It's been in multiple Call of Duties too.
Yeah.
It's just like I think they call it's like a hammer of Thor, maybe. Might be a hammer of God.
Yeah. Something
But yeah,
like
it's
that.
you have it right. It's a tungsten rod they drop from a satellite.
Wait, they actually have that in space right now? That's stupid.
It's called the kinetic strike because it doesn't use like any kind of like propellant or anything. It's just like a tungsten rod falling at peak velocity, kinetically hitting the ground and transferring that energy.
I don't know. Do we? That's crazy if we actually do have that in orbit right now, because I'm pretty sure we're not allowed to like put like super weapons in space. Like that was a pretty big deal with nuclear tests. Is like you're not supposed to.
I was gonna say I don't think it's classified as the same way. I'm not like very knowledgeable on
I mean,
it.
I guess it isn't the nuke, but
It's not a bomb. It's not anything like that. It's just we just have a satellite up there, and if it's got some tungsten rods, they're for whatever they need to be for. And if one of them falls off, hey, what are you gonna do about it? Sometimes a tungsten rod falls off.
And it really fucked up London in that movie. Like the
Yeah,
whole
no-
place.
Yeah, I was gonna say they do a lot of damage. It's a terminal velocity. I don't know how big it is, but it's a fat ass rod dropped from space. That would fuck things up. It's that's a lot of mass.
And like, I mean, we know about like the Iron Dome and stuff like that. Like the U.S. has a pretty robust like anti-missile system thing too. But how do you stop tungsten rod?
I don't know if you can. You might be able to like shoot something at it and blow it up, maybe. But I don't know. Because you think, like, if tungsten, it's literally they chose tungsten because it's, like, super fucking dense and not going to be knocked off course by anything. It's going to pierce through any bird or any plane that it hits. Like, it's not going to matter.
You get a skydiver.
Oh, Jesus.
With an extra parachute.
So he just ties it to the rod?
Easy peasy.
Bing, bang, boom. That's some Saints Row shit. You just fucking jump on the plane and ride it down, just punching the control panel.
I remember someone telling me in like elementary or middle school or something about how there's apparently this like extra like hardcore class of skydivers who will they'll be driving their plane and they'll jump out of the plane and then they'll land back in the plane when it's taking a nosedive. And I was like, that's bullshit. I don't believe that. Granted, in elementary school, I also said if you threw a really hard shovel from an airplane into the ground, it'll make a volcano. And then this one girl in my class said that, no,
shift
my
the tectonic plates.
My aunt is a volcano scientist and told me that's not true, which is funny because I was a kid and I came up with that. And I don't know why an actual volcano scientist
had to
would have
weigh
asked
in.
that question.
She probably reported it back. Like, is this how volcanoes are made?
No, this is the first time I said anything about it. She's like, no.
She probably
she said that.
She probably just got told how volcanoes are made. She's like, I know how volcanoes are made, and that ain't it, Chief.
Fair.
Ain't no shovels from planes.
I took it more as her aunt explicitly said that is not that wouldn't work.
Listen, people are
going
to be out
her
there.
Radar already.
They're going to be telling you that they made volcanoes throwing shovels from planes. Listen to me. That's not how it happens. I need to set the record straight, preemptively.
Get ahead of this.
Yeah, we need to get ahead of all this nonsense, this misinformation that's out there.
Some 7-year-old in your class is gonna bring this up.
That's great. That reminds me of the amazing idea that I had, I think when I was like probably 10 or 11 years old, that I thought was so great I wrote down in a notebook. So the whole thing was that it was going to be like a drive-through restaurant, but you could just like drive up and pick like different sizes of boobs, and then you would drive through, and then whoever was there at the window would just be a girl with those size boobs, and then she'd show you the boobs, and you drive on. Call it the boob through.
I think if you had
Thought
a
I was a
strip
genius.
club, if you're already operating a strip club, and there is enough space for a car to drive next to the building, because I feel like, I mean, so there's like strip clubs like in the city, which probably isn't enough space for a drive-through, but like there's strip clubs like on the side of highways too, right? There's definitely adult video stores, and I'm pretty sure some of them are also like have strippers. I actually never went into one, so I wouldn't know.
Can we actually do a drive-through strip club?
I mean, we could pitch it. I'm sure there might actually be a market for that.
The boob through lives on.
All you gotta do is
perhaps I was
install
a
a window. Well, I mean, I wouldn't go to it.
Yeah, I don't think I would either. 10-year-old me was all about it.
You
but
think about it. You got
nowadays,
someone doing like a trucker or something like that. Like a long distance, like driving across the country, all that stuff. You don't have like enough time to get a
stop and get a lap dance. Yeah,
you got to keep things moving. So you just come through the drive-through.
Live
and be like,
life on the road.
Yup, good, thank you.
There's money in there somewhere. Oh, so something I saw at Jewel today, or not today, when I last went shopping, was that there was people who were worked at Jewel, basically reverse shopping, which makes sense. Like, you have things that are just kind of left out, like you throw them all into a cart and you're like, all right, at the end of the day or beginning of the day, because I was there kind of early, we'll just make sure that whole cart of random bullshit gets restocked. And I was just like, oh, okay, neat. That's kind of like a little reverse shopping thing, but that makes sense, like why you have to do it. And then I saw a guy doing it with like frozen foods, like a cart full of frozen. I was like, they definitely didn't like leave those out and we're like, all right, we're just going to pile all these in and get them done. Like, is this guy just reverse shopping? Like, what's going on here? Like, is he just, I don't know if he was stocking the shelves. Like, he was just putting one thing of each in and like just randomly going about. So it doesn't look like he was stocking like, one full thing, then the next full thing. So I don't know what kind of he was doing on. I just thought I call it reverse shopping in my notes because that's all I just saw it as. He gets paid to reverse shop.
Just that's a hazard.
Right,
Like, you just have frozen stuff and it becomes unfrozen. Like, yeah, like maybe you do that like in your own home and your own stuff after you paid for it.
Maybe they keep like a cart back in the frozen area, so if they ever find a frozen thing that's like out of place, like, all right, well, I don't have time to deal with this now, I'll just take it by the frozen cart, chuck it in, and then that's all. That's the only thing I could possibly think of, like the same exact thing for non-frozen, but just keep it a cart back there in the frozen section.
Honestly, they probably just like keep it in like the cooler in the back or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, because like where are they going to hold the stock for things in the refrigerator aisle when the refrigerator aisle is full?
Yeah. I don't know. It was a weird thing to see because it's like, oh, I thought he was stocking, and then he was just like one bag and then close the thing, then like go across the aisle for another thing. I'm like, what kind of challenge is this man on? I feel like he's in a fucking what do you call it, game show right now.
I like how you're like reverse shopping. That's just stocking for the most part. Like,
see, that's the thing. Like, it would be stocking if he had like multiple things. Like he had like multiple bags of shrimp. It was like, all right, I'm gonna stock the shrimp, and then multiple bags of vegetables. Okay, I'm gonna stock the vegetables. He had like one bag of shrimp, then another bag of vegetables, then like frozen taquitos, and then it's like all these different things. It's like literally just a cart full of stuff that someone would buy, but he had to put it back. So I was just like, what's going on here? It's like I wanted to call it stocking, but it wasn't. At the same time, he was on a mission. I don't know if he was ordered to do that or if this was just something that like he likes to do.
Maybe it's the Mariano's near me has this. I mean, you know, like with grocery stores, you can now like place an order online for pickup.
Yeah.
And some of them even deliver, but maybe there's like a canceled order.
Yeah, that's what I was saying too. Like other stuff left out, like maybe for canceled orders as well. But then like for frozen stuff, that had to be the same thing. Like you just have to throw it in the back and then like, all right, we'll get to it later. Because he just had a smorgasbord of frozen stuff. Like what? I don't know. It's weird to me that you would have to set all those aside. You'd think like it would take 5 seconds to just throw it in the frozen aisle, unless you're really just that's not my job type shit. Throw it in the bucket, keep moving. Everybody's
back
on that.
in the day, they probably just sell it at a discount to like a. Or like to the general public, or just let an employee take it. And like, it's ruined. I guess we gotta get rid of it.
Jules
somewhere.
Pinching them pennies. They're making sure they ain't wasting no product.
Part of a job like that, I feel like you'd kind of have some claim to like a little bit of free shit, you know? Personally.
So are you okaying stealing from the grocery store you're working at? This isn't
I'm not in charge of that, so it doesn't really matter what I say.
I do not advocate stealing from your workplace. Taking Band-Aids or something, maybe, but like that's the stuff
that
that
can't even be stealing.
Right,
They're
like
supposed
that's
to have that stocked up.
Exactly. So if you're taking like you need a Band-Aid and you take 2 extras because you're like maybe I'll replace it once today and then maybe I'll need one when I go home. Who cares? Who cares about that? But don't be like, well, maybe I'll just take a bag of pizza rolls too because I'm hungry tonight. Because then you're actually committing theft.
No, you take a bag of pizza rolls after it was brought out and then the order was canceled and you can't put it back because it thawed too much.
I mean,
it's unusable product.
Yeah, if at that point you probably shouldn't eat those. I wouldn't recommend eating unthawed pizza rolls, especially after you refreeze them. Might be a little unsafe to eat.
That's fine. That's why it's free.
That's why it's free, because it's a real dice roll if you're going to get botulism. Who cares?
You just cook it all the way through. Easy peasy.
I don't think that's how that works. If it's like spoiled meat, you're just done for. You don't even get to cook that out.
Plus, it's full of preservatives.
Yeah, that's true. Especially the pizza rolls. They're probably just like, they're probably good for like shelf life a year. I wouldn't doubt it. You could probably find some pizza rolls you forgot that were in there and just cook them up just fine.
Yeah. Haven't had pizza rolls in a while.
Yeah, pretty good.
My frozen things have been chicken nuggets and pizzas.
Yeah, I gotta get more chicken nuggets. I've been on corn dogs and then pizza rolls recently. Corn dogs are good.
Corn dogs are good. I had a corn dog summer back in 2020.
What the fuck is that?
I
got a lot of corn dogs?
I got a big box of corn dogs, like 20-something corn dogs, so it's like the only thing I ate for like a week.
Nice.
And then I was like, I'm not sick of it yet. So I bought another thing of corn dogs. I had some other stuff too, but like for the most part, just a bunch of corn dogs.
Hell yeah.
Corn dogs, just mustard.
Not a big mustard fan. I don't really like to put anything on my corn dogs.
I'm a huge mustard fan. Mustard is like a #1 condiment to me.
You know, it's a good sauce for any kind of meatloaf or any kind of ground beef recipe if you're not trying to do anything like mix it with ground beef with anything for pasta or anything like that.
Well, you did say with meatloaf, so is this like a ketchup glaze?
Yeah, mustard, ketchup, a little bit of brown sugar.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, get a little Dijon mustard especially. That's the good stuff, brother. That is the good stuff. Pour that all over the meatloaf, just drench it in it.
That's so American.
Oh, yeah.
It is good though. I'm a fan. But that's so goddamn American to have just a loaf of beef.
Seasoned, though. You season that beef.
Yeah.
You don't just leave it fucking barren.
And covered in, it's a glaze of ketchup.
Ketchup and mustard and sugar. That is delicious.
It's just another form of a hamburger, but I don't know if that's
Yeah.
also quite American.
Yeah, I'm going to say it's the hamburger loaf. It is delicious, served with some mashed potatoes, some green beans.
I don't know. Can you make a meatloaf with other meats?
Yeah. I mean, we make bison meatloaf all the time. Ground bison,
That's cool.
any kind of ground meat.
Yeah.
Just make it into the loaf, cook it in the loaf pan. You're just like cooking a slab of meat. It's meat is meat, you know?
I don't know if I've ever had bison.
It's good.
I've definitely I've definitely been to places that served bison.
It's very lean, and for that reason, it can be very hard to, very easy rather, to under-season it. Because if you just don't put a lot of seasoning, like you think like the fat's gonna do a lot to saturate it, and you might get a lot of dry meat real quick. So you season it a lot. If you're gonna do a meatloaf, especially, add an extra egg. Make sure it gets nice and wet in there with your breadcrumbs and parmesan. Because that'll help it all stick together and help it all get nice, good flavor in there. Doesn't need to cook as much as beef because then it doesn't have that. All right. I don't know if it would cook faster or less fast than beef, but I usually don't have to put it in for as long.
Well, I mean, so fat has like a temperature that it renders at, and then like meat has like a temperature that it needs to. It's called a pasteurization, which is a function of. There's a graph for it you could find for every individual meat, where it's like you can cook it for this long at this temperature or this long at this temperature. And the ones that are like, it's always the recommended temperature for like every meat to be cooked to, like chicken being 160 or something like that. I have a thermometer that would tell me these things.
Right.
That is the temperature at which all microbial life that would be in that meat is killed in 1 second or something along those lines.
Right.
It is instantly killed. But you can cook things to lower temperatures than that and just like hold it at that temperature for longer.
Right. That's what sous videing is.
Yeah.
The low temp, but hold it for a long time and a very constant.
I'm just thinking about like the fat and how there's less fat in bison and how that would affect the cook time.
Yeah, and normally it's been a long time since I've cooked an actual beef meatloaf. Now that I think about it, I think that's
You get
normally
bison or you just don't cook meatloaf that often?
I don't cook meatloaf that often, but yeah, I get bison every week, or not every week, every box, which is like every 4 weeks, 5 weeks, something like that. And normally cook a bison loaf for like 45 minutes. I think meatloaf was like an hour. I usually just follow recipes to start anyway, then I'll tweak them as I go along.
It's probably because of the extra fat in the beef, I imagine. That allows you to cook it for longer to get because like, the fat will keep it juicy. Stuff like that, but the bison's really lean. I remember,
Yeah, that was the thing, is like, even though the recipe said 50 minutes, but I like 45, just so it doesn't dry out.
I remember having a venison burger that was supplemented with bacon to make up for the lack of fat.
Yeah, venison's real lean too. You ever heard of rabbit starvation?
No.
So rabbit is a meat that is so lean in protein that it is actually not sufficient enough to sustain you. So
I'm glad this didn't. I thought this was just about to be animal cruelty.
No.
Rabbit starvation. Okay.
No, it's starving via only eating rabbit meat. I guess it happened a lot during like the pioneer days where they would catch and cook a lot of rabbit, but then even though they were eating their fill every day, they still like their brains were starved of protein, and they ended up being starved to death.
Oh wow.
I don't know how many people died if it was like a widespread thing, but it was like people were getting super sick and they were just like, "What the fuck's going on? We're eating meat. Thought we're doing right." Rabbit, no good to eat. You got to supplement with other fats and other protein-rich meats.
That makes sense. I mean, there's a lot of things in nutrition where it's like if you eat a lot of the same thing, you're gonna just happen to have blind spots of like essential nutrients and stuff like that. And pretty sure that's what scurvy is. There's a lack of vitamin C.
Yeah.
So
The pirate disease.
eat pickles and oranges and stuff.
Yeah, and limes and whatnot. That's why the what you call it, the Brits were limey bastards. 'Cause they were on the shore eating their limes, not having scurvy.
That makes sense. I learned something today. Thank you.
Yeah, it's been today I learned a couple times on a Reddit post.
Yeah, and then it's crazy how they turned all those limes into rocks afterwards too. And they make like buildings out of them.
Wait, what?
Limestone.
Oh, okay.
Which what
I
is
don't
that
know.
then? Because I don't think it actually is lime.
I think it's just like has the color of lime. I'm not sure. I think of that.
I will Google this too. Why is it called limestone?
Why is limestone? Limestone name origin.
Why is it limestone?
From the Latin word limus, which means mud. So it's just stone. It's just probably like a really old stone. They just named it the first stone, basically.
Oh. Well, that makes me think of... how do you pronounce it?
Limus.
Limus? Okay, so that is how I would pronounce it, because there's a Civ card that's Limus, and it's like plus 50% production towards like defensive building. So like you could build walls and stuff for slotting that policy, Limus.
Get extra rock.
But it always makes me think of limes. Like we can just make all of this beautiful walls and stuff like that and keep all of our people safe because we're so healthy eating all this lime.
Eating all these limes, just eat it and stick the peel in the wall. Bing, bang, boom. Reinforcing. Have you... I don't know how exactly the practices were put into place, but I remember reading about like just pirate ship practices and how there was a lot of wage like unscrupulousness that was happening, where they would do a lot of like, oh, you come on this, you know, whatever company's pirate ship and we'll pay you like double the normal wage, but in company bucks. And these company bucks aren't really like, you know, don't have American dollar value, but you can spend them at the merchant ships that are going to be coming, you know, to and fro during your voyage. And that was a way to like entice people to come to certain like ships over that, but it became like known as a very what's the word, like predatory business practice. And it was one of the first like
giving pirates a bunch of money for the merchant ships. They buy shit from the merchant ships and then they just rob the merchant ship.
I was gonna say it became
get their company money back.
It became a really big problem, and it was one of the first like, I don't know if it was like a wage law put into place or if it was just a practice that people started following. We're like, we're not doing that shit anymore. That's a no-no.
And they said it was British, right?
I think the first like pirates were around like Europe sailing, yeah. The pirate days.
I feel like some of this stuff is starting to make more sense why like the British sort of lost control of the world. Because you know about like this, like I think it was a snake policy in India.
No.
During like colonial, you know, England controlling India, there's a story that there was a bunch of snakes they wanted to get rid of, so they would give you $20 a head for a snake.
Huh.
You know, a dead snake.
Right.
So people started breeding snakes.
Smart. And
then they were like, okay, we're done with paying people for snakes because y'all are just breeding them. And
right.
they were like, okay, and released them.
And so now
didn't work.
Here's your snakes.
I'm not making money anymore.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
Just pure failure of a policy.
I love that. It's just like, okay, we're gonna make some money then. There's just people rubbing their hands together like, you idiots. That's good.
I'm pretty sure it actually made the problem worse in the end because of all these like bred snakes that like, you know, because like in the wild a lot of animals like don't see adulthood in the first place.
Right.
But if you're growing these and you're taking care of them and you're making sure they see adulthood,
there's a lot of big ass snakes. Probably all used to being like the king of whatever little territory they have, and now they're all going to be fighting. Ah, shit. Snake wars.
Do snakes fight?
I don't know if they have like are territorial like that.
What are they even gonna do to each other?
I've seen snakes eat other snakes.
Yeah, but like if it's dead already.
Yeah, I don't know.
I guess if you're just a bigger snake, you can eat it. But like if you're the same size snake, like you can't really choke it.
Yeah, I don't think they have like
if you
fights
bite
like
it,
that.
I'm assuming it's like immune to its own venom. But I guess that maybe that's not like actually a thing.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a good question. Have you ever seen those the insect fights on YouTube?
No, but I did have a neighbor when I was a kid that would do insect fights, and putting them in a jar and.
Yeah, there's like some wild. I don't know if they're like Japanese or some sort of other like Oriental. What would that be called? Like the island nation, like Malaysia, Indonesia, stuff like that. That's over there. Are those
Southeastern Asia?
Yeah, somewhere around there. I just say I don't know exactly what all the captions on the screen are all around, but they'll have like Hercules beetles versus like giant centipede and versus like or praying mantis, like these really big bugs. We need that, but for snakes. Let's see what these snakes can do.
I remember. I don't know if I actually saw this or if my neighbor just told me that he saw it because like just how long ago it was. Having a bug fight, including a spider, female spider with eggs on it.
Ooh,
and the spider's hatching
just
while they're in the fight. It's like a phase 2.
I was gonna say, yeah, it just like expands out, like, and now my babies go. Like you hit it once in the back, and it's like, oh no, I've made the problem worse. You gotta deal with all the minions before you take the final boss.
It's very
out.
Dark Souls-y.
Yeah, it's very Zelda-y too. Zelda was like the first thing to do that, but they made boss fights very easy in Zelda.
I mean, it was the classic Nintendo thing is 3 hits.
Yeah,
you know?
3 hits, and you gotta just find the pattern of just like waiting for the time to attack, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Using whatever item you got in the dungeon to whack them for your chance to strike.
Mm-hmm.
Classic.
They do have a spider, quote unquote. There's a couple spider bosses in Dark Souls, but there's one in Bloodborne, Rom the Vacuous Spider.
The Vacuous?
Yeah, you fight him in like a weird lake dimension.
Does he suck you up?
No, you kill him and then it like takes down the veil of like the actual cosmic horrors that are going on. But you go to this weird lake dimension, you fight a spider, and he keeps on calling in other spiders that are much smaller.
No,
but I mean they're like still big because you know this is a giant ass spider, and then these are still giant spiders, just not giant ass spider.
Right.
Now these little rock heads, so you can't attack them from the front, and they all start surrounding you, and they like do little headbutts and stuff.
Rock head spiders.
Yeah, scary. Well, I'd recommend Bloodborne. People are putting together an actual PC port of it, not like a fan-made one.
Oh, neat.
It's finally coming together.
I played it when it first came out on PlayStation. Not a fan of the Souls games.
I think it's a particularly good one, but if you're not a fan of the games, you're not a fan of the games.
Yeah, not for me. Not for me. It was a cool setting. I liked it. I played it for about 2 or 3 hours, and I was like, okay, none of this. Never again.
I'm such a big fan of the Souls games. Like, I love the challenge. And I love how they fuck with you in those games.
I hate that.
It's just some of the goofiest little tricks happen, you know, like you're walking along, you see an item on like a body that's hanging over the edge, like, oh, let me go pick that up, and then there's a guy waiting right there.
Yeah, just
for you to walk
stab
over,
you in the back.
Yeah, push you off.
Stupid.
It's so good.
It's so dumb. And you're just walking around like you're a third-person camera, so you can't see what's inside the door you're about to walk in. Don't look like there's any enemies in there, and you walk in, and someone was just waiting at the corner to stab you in the back. Like, all right. Thank you, game, for limiting my ability to control and then punishing me for that limitation.
They got ceiling slimes.
Stupid.
So you walk into a room and then a slime falls on your head and you gotta mash to get out.
Stupid.
It's so good.
Agree to disagree on that one. You can take your Bloodborne and your phone calls and fuck right off, bud.
Still on about phone calls. The phone calls are fine. I actually think you'll find more people that don't like the Souls games and people that don't like phone calls.
I hate it. What's the point? What's the point of like grabbing somebody by the shoulders, sitting them down, and then just like talking right into their face? What, you wouldn't do that to somebody, right? So why give them a phone call?
It's fast.
So you know what else is fast? Sending a text.
You don't get confirmation.
Oh well, just wait then. You gotta have a little bit of patience. A little bit more patience in your life might go a long way.
It's not an issue about patience.
Oh well, it seems like it is because you're just like, hey, respond fast right now.
That's it. That is it. I've had it up to here.
You're gonna call me right now? I'll reject it. I'll reject it right in front of your face. Rejected.
Yeah,
I don't know what you were trying to prove.
I'm gonna leave you a
with
voicemail now. You're digging your own grave, bucko.
Oh, well, I'm gonna delete the voicemail. I'm not even gonna listen to it. Probably just a robot
hey man,
saying my
just
number.
Giving you a call.
Hate it.
Oh,
Unnecessary.
fuck off.
Unnecessary. It doesn't do anything. If you need to speak with me, come to see me face to face. If it's not worth the drive to make whatever you have to say, then send a text and wait.
How about this?
Wait for my time. Respect my time.
What if I have a bunch of ice cream in the car?
Mm-hmm.
And I need 2 people to move it. And we have no time to delay.
Well, it's not my
Can I
fault.
call you then?
First off, that's happening. So
But we as a unit can move faster if I can guarantee the
if it's
message
an emergency,
is received.
if it's an emergency like that, then
Ice
I
cream
suppose.
delivery?
Yeah,
Okay.
time sensitive ice cream delivery. I'll allow something
All
like
right.
that, or like family death, something along those lines. Fine, call me. But anything less, what is the point? Send me a text. Wait on your own time. I know you want me to just respect your time and be like, oh, respond because I want this right now. Respect my time when you send a text. Be like, he'll respond when he needs to respond, when he can respond.
All I know is that I found one situation in which a phone call is fine. Now I need to make sure I set that up
You're
properly.
gonna set up an ice cream delivery like gone wrong, where you're like, oh, so we need help moving them where? Like, what are we gonna lug them to an ice cream shop? We're gonna lug them to my freezer?
Yeah.
They're not gonna fit. That's probably what I'll tell you on the phone.
It's emergency ice cream delivery.
Now all of a sudden you're an ice cream salesman.
Wear many hats. I actually don't wear that many hats anymore. I used to be a hat guy, like the hat guy.
Yeah.
And would wear that Chicago Marathon hat all the time.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Good hat.
It is
Love
a good
that
hat. It was it's not my favorite type of hat, 'cause it's one of those shallow ones that really doesn't go all the way around your head. Like, it doesn't have like a lot of in the bucket. I like the ones that you can actually like put the whole top quarter of your head in. Big hat.
My only real preference is I can't really deal with flat brims.
No.
I like to have my curved brim.
I like a flat brim.
Not for me.
Big
I
shade.
remember my grandfather, when he would get like a baseball cap, he would take it and then he would like bend that bill like super duper deep.
Yeah.
And I don't know. That's how it's supposed to look to me. That curved bill.
Fair. If I'm playing baseball, I would do the same thing.
There's also a variety of the different straps in the back.
I
I like the snaps. I like the snaps. The snap's fine. It's like not gonna like go bad.
I like the look of the snap too over Velcro.
Yeah, there's Velcro too, but there's also like those like clasps.
I hate those.
Those
Hook
clips
and loop
where you
one,
can
yeah.
slide the thing in and out.
Fabric. Yeah, fuck that.
I like that. I feel like you get the most control. But
Yeah, it's just unnecessary though. Give me some snaps. It's called the snapback for a reason. Fucking give me the snaps.
Well, yeah, those ones are called snapbacks.
Well, I mean, the other ones are just fucking imitating. Those are the
They're
first.
not- They're definitely older.
Are they? Are the clasp hats older than just what you call it? I guess they would be like fabric hats. Yeah.
I would say the clasp is definitely older than the snaps, and
Yeah.
the Velcro
You're right.
maybe was older because like I think Velcro is older than plastics, modern plastics.
Yeah, I completely forgot that it's just whole like the plastic age. That probably wouldn't come out till like the 80s. I think they were plastic in the 70s. There was, but like not for hats and stuff, right?
Not like, I mean, I don't think there was nearly as much plastic.
Right. I don't think there were still glass bottles and glass everything in the stores. So like, I don't think we had entered the plastic age for there yet.
I had purchased a couple of glass bottle Cokes recently.
Yeah, Coke de
That's what I was
Mexico.
having last night. Some rum and Coke.
Delicious.
Glass bottle Coke. It's very good.
Cane sugar. Yum.
I like the glass bottles. I think we should have more glass bottles, but
Same.
like, if you litter with plastic, like that's really bad, you know, for the environment and stuff like that. If you litter with glass, like you could hurt someone.
Yeah, that's just dangerous. Yeah, throwing glass on the sidewalk.
And I don't really know if I see people like not littering anymore. I don't litter.
I don't either.
But-
Try not to anyway.
Like,
If a napkin gets away in the wind, I'm not chasing it down.
yeah. However, I also don't recycle plastic.
Yeah, I don't like specifically recycle. I don't really have like a way to kind of
I
conveniently
don't.
near me.
Yeah, I don't recycle anything actually because I don't have a bin for it. But
Right. I don't have
remember
a convenient way.
taking a class in college about like recycling, and then my takeaway from it was just like, none of these companies even fucking do it. Like they
Yeah.
just put it, they just send it to the dump,
Right.
Except for like a small portion of it that they can actually they either can recycle, or they have the means to recycle. Or
Right.
both, but
And even then, they just recycle for the materials and like try to sell them off like bulk sale. It's like there's maybe one or two companies doing the actual cool shit of like, here's making chairs out of recycled plastic and all that stuff. Like, you think that's what everybody would be doing with that shit, but no, most of the recycled plastic is not doing
it
anything.
just goes to the dump
Yeah.
for the most part, which is like, this is just extra work for me to separate these things or to like wash it or something like that for it to go to the same place.
Do you remember the blue bag days?
Is that a recycled bag?
Yeah, so I don't know if it was just in Illinois, or just in even the Chicago area, but when I was a kid, you had to do the separation yourself. So growing up, there was always the recycling bin and the garbage bin, and you'd have the recycling bags that were blue and the garbage bags that were either white or black. And it would be up to the garbage men to be like, all right, these blue bags are the recycle bags. Like, put all your recyclables in the blue one. We throw those to the recycle plant. We take the garbage into the whatever garbage bin. Didn't work at all. It was horrible because it's just all of that sorting at multiple levels. Like it was terrible. Like people didn't bother like doing that at all. Like there's so much garbage in the blue bags. They had to resort all the trash fucking anyway. So it's like what it didn't work at any sort of economic feasible level. It was gone in a couple of years.
I don't remember that blue bag thing at all. I just know about the separate bins and as far as I knew, like you weren't even supposed to bag things if you're putting them into the recycling.
Wow.
At least in the recent years, like last time I lived at a place with a recycling bin was probably like 4 years ago.
I had no idea.
But yeah, I mean, I did kind of when I was there, because it was available. So I was like, might as well do the thing. But it just sucks that it feels like putting the responsibility on us to do something that doesn't even help the environment.
Right.
Like, it just feels like I'm not accomplishing anything with that.
Right.
So.
Yeah, no, it was a weird thing of just like, oh yeah, do it yourself, bozos, but then also like telling that to both the people and the garbage men at the same time. It's just like you're just making all of the problems in the world. It was cool. Like I remember seeing like, oh, I have the blue bags and the black bags. Like it was a neat little like set up thing, and I could see kind of, if I didn't think about it too hard, how that makes sense. But I was a kid. And looking back on that is the dumbest idea.
Now we got microplastics. So
Woo!
for all our efforts.
Yeah, buddy. Did I tell you about my my counter to that? Macroplastics.
Just eat a plastic bottle.
Just eat a whole plastic bag or bottle, and then the bigger ones will grab the smaller ones as they're working their way through. Because that's
like
the thing.
a magnet.
The microplastics are so small, they just kind of get stuck. But the macroplastics, they're big enough to bumble their way through. They'll get the tiny ones on the way out. Yeah. You know,
Okay.
like the plastic bags just get like stuck to you statically. Yeah, right? Bing, bang, boom.
Picking up what you're putting down.
Eat a couple plastic bags, everybody.
That is the CRT recommendation. We are not doctors.
We're not doctors, just experts.
Take our advice at your own
Eat plastic
peril.
bags. Do it.
I'm pretty sure that you know that like plastic raft that's in the Pacific?
Oh yeah, Garbage Island or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I heard that there's like some sort of like plastic eating bacteria that's starting to form on there.
Nice. Hell yeah. Earth is figuring it out.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of always does, I guess. But maybe that would solve microplastics.
Just eat some of that and there's a bacteria.
Probiotic.
I was gonna say, make it into a probiotic. Let those guys live in here. Figure that out.
Just munching all the plastic, easy peasy.
Bing, bang, boom.
No longer a problem. And then we have to go back to glass, like I want.
Yeah, it's as much. There's got to be some medium. There's BPA-free plastics. Like you can make plastics that don't have microplastics. It's just a little bit more expensive. So like, how about we just stop cutting these corners and make regulations on the shit, and then maybe we can do away with it.
There's also like soaps and stuff that have like exfoliating beads in them, and if it's not like, you know, a sugar and salt scrub or something like that,
Usually like silicate and stuff, like
yeah.
sand.
Well, I mean, you get like a. I'm pretty sure there's plastic ones too.
Oh, that's
but like
rough.
if it's not sand and if it's not sugar or salt, probably plastic at that point, right?
Yeah, that would kind of suck. I mean, especially those thicker beads, that would kind of suck to be rubbing into your skin.
Yeah.
Ugh.
You got those like scent Orbeez. That's probably causing a lot of microplastics. You know what I'm talking about, right?
No, the scent Orbeez, you melt Orbeez or something?
No, it's like instead of a candle. I mean, I definitely saw more of this like back in the day. In your bathroom, you would put like this little jar full of like scented Orbeez things, and you'd just have a lid on it, and you'd like take off the lid, and it would like the smell would evaporate into the room because they're like Orbeez, and
right.
you know, eventually they.
Okay, yeah, I think I've seen those before. Yeah, you think that's giving people microplastics?
I think that, I mean, maybe there's not enough of it to contribute too much to microplastics, but I swear to God, like, that is probably just pure microplastic. Like, you throw that out, those little Orbeez are just going to degrade into, like...
That's just macroplastic at that point. It bumps up a level.
All right. Next episode, I'll find those and we'll each drink a jar.
Yes.
For health
We'll consume
reasons.
our macroplastics, for the day. We'll prove the tonic is real.
We're going to... bring this information straight to the food pyramid.
But that'll be next time, because this time we are all out of time for this episode of Cold Hard Trash, CRT episode 14? 14. I don't know if I said that. I might have said 13 again at the start.
Well, you said 13 when I was saving the last one.
Oh,
so,
did I say 14 to start this one?
I don't know.
I don't know either. But
it is the 14th.
It is the 14th episode. Thank you for listening, and we have new episodes of this show coming out every Tuesday, so be sure to tune in for those. We have a video version of it as well on YouTube under Cold Hard Trash Podcast, so if you want to see our beautiful faces, be sure to check that out. Other than that, we are done for today.
Catch y'all later.
Peace.